My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Weapons. And this movie is directed by Zach Cregel, who also directed the 2022 movie Barbarian. A movie I like, but it was definitely overhyped. So, despite hearing great things about this one, I still went in fairly skeptical. But I gotta admit, this movie did it. This movie indeed lives up to the hype. Like it's really great. And the more I think about this movie, the more I love it. So let's begin by talking about the cast. And Julia Garner is delivering some of her best work here. She brought so much emotional depth to her character, and she carries the sections of the movie incredibly well. Like, the parts of the movie where she's the main character, she truly excelled. We then got Josh Brolin, who brought lots of gravitas to his character, and he really stood out. Kerry Christopher plays this kid, and he did everything that he needed to perfectly. He's very convincing throughout this movie, and Arden Anoaik brought lots of personality to his character, and he does a really great job. Austin Abrams could have been a really forgettable side character, but he's so funny and entertaining, and he stands out. Benedict Wong, he brought enough to his character where I thought he was quite entertaining. Amy Madigan does a great job here. She did everything that she needed to perfectly. And Toby Huss also does a really good job despite being a minor side character. So everybody gives a great performance. And one thing I love about this movie is just how compelling these characters are. Like, they do some good things, they do some bad things, they're very flawed individuals, but they mean well, and I just thought they had lots of depth to them. And I love how each one factors into the story. Like, this is quite an ambitious movie. Well, it tells this story from a bunch of different perspectives. And I think that structure really did work here. And when I look back on this movie, each segment kind of felt like its own movie. Each one just had its own unique feel. And yeah, I really do think the story overall is quite strong. And I got to be vague here, but as someone who loves horror movies, there is one specific subgenre. Well, I wish we got more movies in it, and I got what I wanted here. Like, this is a certain type of movie, and that made me very happy. And this movie can be quite unsettling. Like, it is definitely unnerving, it can be quite tense, it can be emotional, but it's also really funny. And I heard the reactions call this movie hilarious, and that kind of got me worried just because of the story. But the way the comedy factors into the plot was just done so perfectly, and once again, no spoilers, but the climax of this movie is comedy gold. And I actually laughed out loud like 10 different times here. It's a funny movie without losing its dramatic weight, without losing its darkness. And I also love how wild and crazy this movie is willing to get, and it's always engaging. I was never bored for a single second, and you always want to know more. You want to know what's going on. And yeah, it's just a really well-directed movie by Zach Cregel. And what I find fascinating is I watch this movie, and it's actually very similar to Barbarian. Well, there's a unique structure. It gives you answers later on in the movie, and even in the tone. Like, there was one scene with Austin Abrams' character that reminded me of Justin Long's character in Barbarian, and I kind of like it when directors have movies where there's similarities, but they still feel different. I like that. I really do. And I do think this movie is well shot and the sound is quite good. But I do got a couple issues. My first one is, this one is difficult to talk about. But I feel like I needed more motivation revealed. Like, it's difficult to talk about, but when you find out what's happening, I wish we got a little bit more of the why is it happening. And also, I found the final minute of this movie to be quite abrupt. I would have liked this movie to be 5 minutes longer. I feel like I would have liked a proper conclusion. But that said, this is still such a unique movie. It is intriguing and constantly interesting. It goes in all these wild directions, and I've heard some people say that this movie feels hollow, and I just don't agree with that. Like, it's not a movie about grief or trauma in a very simplistic view, but I do think the characters bring enough to this movie, and you can view this movie as a representation of tragedies. And I actually do think this movie has quite a bit on its mind. It's a very effective movie where it can scare you 1 second but make you laugh the next. And when we do get some of the big reveals, it's unsettling shit. So, like, this movie just got under my skin. I had a blast with it. It's a movie I can't wait to rewatch. And it's one of my favorites of 2025 so far. So I'm giving Weapons an 8.5 out of 10. Zach Cregel's next movie is the Resident Evil reboot coming out next year. And that's got me very, very excited. So, yes. But Weapons, have you seen it? What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin, out.